Sir Julian Huxley begins the book by saying something very similar. And the book begins with thanks given to a ton of globalist socialist individuals that we've talked about over the years, including people like Joseph Campbell, people like, and Joseph Campbell is just watered down Carl Jung, people from socialist entities, Kettering Foundation, the Institute for Noetic Sciences, all of the elite universities, dozens of universities, in fact, including Sir Geoffrey Vickers, who we saw was an important key figure in British intelligence and British operations. So a lot of Tavistock figures. We have Margaret Mead, the scammy woman who created a lot of fraudulent research about the noble savage. Rockefeller Foundation is a supporter of this. Harvard Business School, Irvin Laszlo, one of the guys key to creating this whole quantum consciousness idea. B.F. Skinner, Carl Rogers, and so the behaviorist school plays a key role in the production of this. So it's a lot of new physics, a lot of new age, and a lot of tapping into psychosexual drives, much along the lines of what we saw in Marilyn Ferguson's Aquarian Conspiracy, what we saw in Arthur Kessler's Ghost in the Machine, all of which we've lectured through, by the way. And other texts like Bertrand Russell, all the classic, all the way up to Global Elite stuff, all the way up to Klaus and Klaus Schwab's stuff. Is the sound good, or is it messing up again? It messed up again? I wonder if it's the it couldn't be because I'm playing music and playing this at the same time. Is this if I'm talking, is it doing it? It's not lagging. I don't know what it must be. The mic. Oh, Caleb is behind. Okay, that's what it is. He's behind, and he's making me think it's still going on. I was about to freak out. Like, what the hell, dude? We're never going to get through this book. So, the book begins by saying that we're going to have to retool and re-engineer the worldview of particularly Western man and the American man. And it cites some texts I didn't expect, like Mircea Eliade and his idea of symbolism. I've actually read quite a bit of Mircea Eliade. He has some very interesting insights. But the book is very candid when it opens up by saying that it's time to retool and re-engineer man's view of himself and man's view of society. And we're going to do that, get this, through manipulation of archetypes and archetypal images. Something that we've talked about a lot. I didn't realize that this book is essentially about that in the first half. Man is one with nature and one with ecology, and man must be re-engineered to understand through social engineering that he is a member of the whole and a piece of the ecological society in which we live. So ecology will be put at the forefront. It will be thrust into the most important way to see and to study and to place man in society. The book talks about, and as we said, this is like a graduate level text. It talks about all the different areas that research was done for this book, including hypnosis, behavioral studies and behavioral engineering, so the social engineers. For example, the relationship between teachers and students, the relationship about placebos, hypnosis, psychotropic drugs, sensory deprivation. This is all MK Ultra stuff. Studies of authoritarianism, the authoritarian personality disorder, that's Frankfurt School stuff. And some of these people are Frankfurt School stuff, people. Group dynamics, that's Tavistock stuff. Esoteric religious teachings, studying Eastern and Western esotericism, page 4. All of these will be used to create a new worldview and a new prejudice for new cultural archetypes. And they hypothesize different studies, and they give you these graphs talking about how the emergence of new archetypes and images are able to train and to steer man. So, if you would, by the way, guys, hit like and share. Yes, the Aquarian Conspiracy is a related text. It's actually mentioned in this book. If you want to support the stream, you can do so through Super Chats, through Streamlabs. The link is pinned in the chat. It's also in the show description, Streamlabs. And then you can also natively chat through YouTube. So they studied everything from infant mortality to systems analysis to economics. And this book will deal with all of those in a series of chapters, I think concluding in how to transform. So, for example, it's a totality perspective, full spectrum dominance, the studies of man himself in a changing society, man's formative archetypes and images, and his place in the universe, and specifically the American creed, economic man, science, ecology, evolution, sociology, and strategies of transformation. So this is again a high-level textbook for the graduate study elites going into think tanks, foundations, Pentagon, government, etc., or intelligence operations and intelligence work as well. Religion, it says, is relevant because modern scientism has discarded religion. However, the religion that the book wants us to come back to is definitely not anything close to biblical religion, Western civilization's heritage, Eurasian heritage as well. No. That has to be discarded because it's too phallocentric. The religion that they want us to move into is something akin to a pro-New Age, pro-goddess, pro-ecological based religion that tries to balance the sexes, promote gender equality, promote feminism, etc. All of that is mentioned in the text as a way to counterbalance the last couple millennia of phallogocentrism. In fact, the book says that even in 1982, most religions in America, including Christian churches and synagogues, had merely become tools of social justice. They are essentially social justice organizations. So they need to capture that engine and that soft power to turn it towards the creation of new archetypes and new images. And that is everything that we're seeing today. So everything from feminism to the lesbian Archbishop of Canterbury to the gay flags in the churches, and all of that is not just an effect of the social gospel and Protestant liberalism of the last century. It's actually steered and engineered for social engineering purposes that this book is talking about. The reason for all of this, it says on pages 10 and 11, and it cites Jonas Salk's book, Survival of the Wisest, which we have lectured through many, many years ago. It's a very important text. I had to put it somewhere else off of YouTube. It wasn't allowed to be on YouTube, and you can guess why. But Survival of the Wisest is about the necessity for the scientific elite to engage in mass depop. And the depop will be necessary because there's not enough resources. So Malthusianism, we're going back to flies in a jar, and because the flies in a jar they didn't have enough food, we got to get rid of most of the people. This getting rid of and depop, this will take a long time. They're not envisioning some sort of apocalyptic all-at-once thing, although they try to scare everybody that if we don't do this, there will be the apocalyptic climate event, nukes, etc. It says, let's go back to the history of Western civilization and the changing images of man throughout Western civilization's history. And perhaps we'll get an idea of how they did it back then and how we will do it today. In ancient societies and in the empires, Roman Empire, whatever, it was the literate priest class that had the power, and the priest class could teach. They could be the pedagogical elite to the king class, for example, Aristotle being the tutor to Alexander the Great, etc. It's not saying that everybody in the priest class literally is a priest. It's just calling that class of people the literati, the ones that are literate, kind of the elites, and they would carry on they would be the culture bearers, so to speak. And this society saw things holistically. It saw nature as magical and endued with a kind of an enchantment. Everything was seen as part of a whole. So, for example, if you read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, which we've lectured through on this channel, this would be a good example of this. Even though he's not a priest class person, he's the Stoic philosopher emperor. And so he's kind of both, right? He's writing about the empire giving the people order and reason in the same way that the logos principle that pervades the universe gives everything order and reason in nature. So the Roman Empire is the most logical, rational expression of the universe's logos in the way that Marcus Aurelius thought. The text also cites other societies like ancient Eastern societies, Hindus, yogis, Brahmins, etc. And it says this is where we need to turn. So we need to look away from the things that Western civilization had through the influence of Greek philosophy and patriarchal dominance, etc. We need to look to yogis and the sages of the Eastern religions, because they were ecological sages that will be perfect for the future. Hinduism, Taoism, etc. were in certain ways superior to Yahweh or the God of the Bible, and even the Gnostics had certain insights. Now, don't get me wrong, to be fair to the text, it's not actually saying that everything about Western civilization was bad. It's kind of doing this pick and choose method, where it's saying, okay, there's some things about Western civilization that were good. The idea of Faustian man having dominance over nature and creating technology, that was good, and it got us to where we are. But there's all these drawbacks from technological society, and now we need to deindustrialize. You see, the West has caused all these problems, and now we're going to have to move to a post-industrial world. And the way to get to a post-industrial world is to socially engineer, using the ideology of Fabian socialism and all of these universities' brainwashing techniques, to inculcate in the population demasculinization, the raising of the feminine, the goddess, the new age, cults, ecology, nature worship, Taoism, yoga, all that kind of stuff is a manifestation of this. Now, this book shows you that all of these religious ideas are intentionally pushed in the West on purpose. Just like Aquarian Conspiracy by Marilyn Ferguson, which is not a conspiracy book, it's saying the exact same thing as this book. For example, in the chapter on the notion of the mystical body of Christ in Christianity, the authors actually say, this is not necessarily a bad idea. We're going to have to resuscitate the ancient theological idea of the mystical body of Christ. However, it's not going to be about Christianity or Jesus. It's the mystical body of mankind, one with nature, they say. And it talks about the influence of Freemasonry and Gnosticism in the West, and it even makes the claim, it argues that Gnosticism, its traditions were continued on in the Freemasonic lodges. It's not totally saying we need to go to Freemasonry. It's kind of trying to be a perennialist thing, right? It's saying all of these religions, all these things have good things, and let's do an archaeology of ideas and piece together what we want from all of these traditions in our new socialist technocratic future. And the best thing to get to that future would be to have a new religious sentiment, a new religious idea that the priest class, the literati, the academic class, will construct. What is the chat talking about? What are you guys talking about? This is a really important text. You guys need to pay attention, right? I'm going to start being like Scam Shamu and start screaming at you. Pay attention! So they go all the way back to the Greeks after talking about the yogis and ecology. And they start talking about what elements did Greek philosophers and Greek society give to the West. It gave us the idea of individualism, the hero, Odysseus, right? Virtue, excellence. Plato and Aristotle were a move away from the supernatural towards nature and the study of nature. So science essentially comes out of this enterprise. And then it fast forwards all the way up through like the Enlightenment and all that kind of stuff, and Protestant Reformation and scientific revolution. And it says we're at the stage now where man himself is being studied at every level, not just in terms of his mind, but his brain itself to be perhaps changed. And as we said in the almost stream yesterday trying to cover this book, this really anticipates where modern documents like the NATO cognitive warfare document would take it to the next level. Because this document is talking about changing man's mindset, his worldview. The NATO cognitive warfare document is saying it's time to take it to the next page, to the next level, and change man's brain himself. Change man's brain capabilities. We are on page 30. And the key research for this comes out of MK Ultra. Behavior alteration, electrodes in the brain are mentioned in this area. So we're referring to Jose Delgado. In fact, Jose Delgado is cited, one of the MK Ultra doctors, on page 30. And Delgado's book is Physical Control of the Mind, Mind Control. I have the book. So man will have to be mind controlled through operant conditioning, and that's why B.F. Skinner also is cited right next to Jose Delgado in the same page here, as to where and how we will take man in this new direction. What could be one of the key vehicles of that? Perhaps perennial philosophy. So I didn't expect this in the book. We're now talking about Fritjof Schuon, we're talking about Rene Guénon, we're talking about even Aldous Huxley's version, the perennial philosophy. This is the traditionalist school, and that actually makes sense because there are many amongst the power structure who do find perennialism appealing and useful. For example, King Charles is the patron for a perennialist traditionalist publishing company called Temenos. And so, and I'm not saying everything about the perennialists are bad. They're just kind of like Neoplatonic, Sufi, that kind of stuff. In fact, Dr. Philip Sherrard, the Orthodox theologian and writer, seemed to drift, unfortunately, towards the latter days of his life into kind of perennialism. I don't know that he died outside the Orthodox Church, but his Orthodox theology was beginning to drift away into some pretty bad stuff. I've read a lot of Sherrard. I'm trying to remember the name of one of his later texts. I forget the name of it, but one of his later texts is very perennialist, which is kind of unfortunate. But this is people like Julius Evola and this kind of stuff. Mark Sedgwick, I think, does a modern perennialist blog. This guy here. So he studies Sufism, and a lot of the traditionalist perennialists are into Sufism. Some of them, like Fritjof Schuon, they create their own cults, right? And Rene Guénon was a part of his cult for a while, but he has a blog called the Traditionalist Blog, and I've read this off and on over the years. I mean, I think, at one time I wasn't into perennialism per se, but I was reading these people at one point. I even read, all of Yaki's Imperium. I've read 2 or 3 of Evola's books. So I've read Coomaraswamy's essays, Ananda Coomaraswamy. So there's quite a few figures in this, loosely speaking, in this domain. But the most famous names are going to be Schuon, Guénon, and Evola. And then people debate whether Aldous Huxley really counts as a perennialist, but if you don't recall, I actually did a debate with a perennialist, that oddball dude, Arvol, many years ago. If you guys remember, Arvol is suddenly on all these podcasts everywhere. This oddball here. So we debated perennialism how many years ago? Maybe 7 or 8 years ago. It was one of the early first debates. So if you're interested, you can check that out. But at the time, Arvol was claiming he was interested in perennialism. I don't know if he still is. The last time that we had a bit of a disagreement, he was all into Richard Dawkins. So I don't know where he's at now. I haven't kept up with him. But I think he probably also is trying to create a Rene Guénon, Friedrich Schumann type community. Yes, Julius Evola, as I said, is one of the sort of the main figures in this. Anyway, so I didn't really expect this book to go in that direction, but that's where it went. And it doesn't exactly say, oh, we're going to use perennial. It just says that, it's kind of surveying different options, and maybe perennialism could be a way to craft and concoct, kind of a new world religion, that kind of thing. So the next section deals primarily with America and the American Creed, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, the American ethos of laissez-faire economics, becoming your own, man, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, start your own business, the American dream, all of this. And they say that, what's let me put this, this section is a two-edged sword, because many of the critiques are the critiques that we would make, because this is it started cracking again. Dang. I'm just going to have to get a new mic. It's time to just go ahead and buy a new mic. It also, is it possible it's also maybe YouTube? I mean, YouTube doesn't show me any. It's not showing me any, when I lean in. Maybe I'm electrified. Maybe I have like a... Well, it's time to get a nice fancy microphone anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead. It's really bad. It's the interface, not the mic. So OBS, you mean? Oh. All right, let's try it. Maybe if we turn down some of the stuff here. Let's see. All right, is that better? Am I still crackling if it's lower? Yeah, we've already tried messing with the USB port and we thought we had it solved, but it seems it's bad again. It's worse. I'm gonna have to get Neil in here, and Neil can set me up a whole system of next level fanciness. Put your phone in airplane mode. That's actually not a bad idea, but I think it is in airplane mode. Oh. I mean, there was no problems until yesterday all of a sudden. So I don't know what happened. Just out of nowhere it happened yesterday. Okay, maybe we can keep going. I think I might just need a new mic. I mean, this is not that old, but it has traveled a little bit. I've used it for maybe a year, so. What I'm saying is that you have to narrow it down because I don't exactly know what the problem is. So I bought a whole new fancy USB port, but that's apparently not it. Okay, so maybe we can at least finish through this live stream. If you guys want to donate to the Fancy Mic Fund, leave me a super chat and I'll go ahead and just buy a brand new fancy mic. And I'll have to get an audio switcher or whatever. I put a brand new cord in, so I bought like 3 backup cords. I tried everything I could think of to prepare for issues, but so Americanism is a pluralist enterprise, and a lot of the things that he says we would agree with in terms of criticizing. But the problem is that we don't agree with the perennialist answers. So the answer isn't Orthodox Christianity. The answer is actually to have a new constructed religion. And I'm not knocking or hating on Jordan Peterson. I think a lot of people are, worried about Jordan Peterson's health and all that. And I certainly want the best for Jordan Peterson. I hope he finds his way and, gets healed. But the other thing is that this chapter and what they have planned, it sounds a lot like the sort of Jordan Peterson archaeology of ideas model. To try to concoct a new religion. I don't even know what the buffer is, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So like if you could tell me, is that in OBS, like in the OBS settings, like if I go to source settings or global settings, like I don't see, I think you can go into OBS also, not in the properties, but in the stream itself. I think you have to turn the stream off though. And you can pick like the audio rate at which you're sending out the audio feed. Is that it in OBS? I think I might have to turn it off to do that though. No, I think I can look. I just can't change it. So the audio, I've got it at sample rate 44.1 kilohertz. I don't know anything about kilohertz. Let's see the stream. I can't look at the stream because I'm doing it at the moment. Output audio bitrate is 1. That's audio tracks. Is this audio track 1? This is audio capture 2. Replay buffer, is that it? Increase input output buffer. I've already switched to USB ports. It's not Stream Deck. Donate to my new Bugatti. I mean, I'm in the settings of Streamlabs, and I'm looking at audio, output, etc., output mode, replay buffer. Is that what you're talking about with buffer? 1.21 gigawatts. Bigger buffer size is better. Is that the maximum replay time under replay buffer? Because that's the only thing I see. I don't see any other options. So philosophy tries to deal with these issues, and these philosophical questions are paramount, it says. These kinds of philosophy questions are absolutely essential, even though modern atheism is not interested in it. Modern Americanism and scientism has moved away from these philosophical questions. But it's time to find the mystical core of the religions, so it is perennialism, and to try to convince man that man is not distinct and separate from nature to dominating nature, but man is nature. He's not above it. And thus, the biblical idea must be fought against, it says. I tried a new wire, so I think it might be this microphone, because I've already replaced I've tried multiple chords. It's still, yeah. It's done on purpose as part of an aesthetic that we're doing. I apologize. I'll just buy a new microphone tomorrow. Go to the advanced audio properties in the mixer and adjust the audio offset settings. There's not advanced setting in. There's source settings and global settings. That's it. There's nothing about advanced in here. Oh, I'm in advanced settings, and you said to do what? In the mixer, adjust the audio offset settings. Audio offset settings. Oh, sync offset? What do I put that to? Maybe delay it for like 2 or 3 seconds. Is that what you mean? Sync offset. Audio offset settings. Okay, I see the sync offset. I think that's what you're talking about. Is that any better? I tried putting it like 2 seconds. That won't fix it. I've already debated all the vegans. Okay, it got better moving the wire, so it's got to be the microphone. It's this stupid ass microphone. It's not the cord art. This is a brand new cord. I've tried 2 cords, so it's not the sync offset. Okay, it's this stupid microphone, dude. I know that's what it is. No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I mean, maybe I dropped it when we were moving or something, or when we were traveling. I might have hit it. It got banged in the bag or something. My audio, video bag of tech stuff. Maybe it got banged in there. So it's. I don't have antivirus on here. So what's the key here? Collectivism. So we want to turn into a collectivist institution and society versus an individualist one. The main issue with Americanism was its individualism, and we would agree that there's an overemphasis out of the Enlightenment, the laissez-faire economic theory, atomistic individualism, out of the libertarian ethos. But their answer is, oh, well, see, we're all just part of nature, bro. We're all one, bro. And how do we get to that? We have to demasculinize the West, and particularly America. Boy, were they prescient, and boy, were they planning it in this one, weren't they? Man is nature, and thus even old people should be indoctrinated to learn from the yogis and the mystics of the East, because they were holistic. By the way, this is exactly what Fritjof Capra says in his book, which we've covered. Fritjof Capra, if you remember, he wrote Turning Point. That was one of the global elite texts. It's exactly the same thing that Capra said. Christianity, it says, has too positive of a assessment of man and of man's role. It's too colonialist. It gives the idea that we should raise and help other cultures. You can't make this up. They actually say that colonialism is bad, and I think it cites Margaret Mead. You're going to think this is crazy, but this is, by the way, where we get to critical race theory and anti-colonial insanity. Colonialism is bad because it actually makes tribes people want things. So when you bring in clothing to a culture that wears grass skirts, now you've introduced greed because everyone wants the grass skirt. And the Industrial Revolution is a big part of this because it made ease of access to these consumable goods and to these better quality goods so much more prevalent that it has to be curbed. You can't keep having this growth society, they say. They cite John Maynard Keynes, in fact, as a prophet, and Keynes is Fabian socialism. And there's too much abundance in society. Since humans are nature, we've got to stop wealth and growth. So you notice it's a subtle socialism. It's a post-industrialist, de-industrial society, and perhaps even feudalism is something we could look back to. Neo-feudalism. Colonialism gave the tribespeople too many things that made them want. This is so stupid. Imagine thinking that bringing food and running water and buildings to people that live in huts, you're bad because you're making people want stuff. That's actually the logic of Margaret Mead and this chapter. The Industrial Revolution created this image of man as the Patrick Bateman, right? Oh, you're the evil, psychopathic Wall Street bro. And rather than that, we need to turn into hippie bros. You need to become a wook at the festival. A post-industrial world would be much better because it would be a collectivist, socialist kind of society where people would no longer see themselves as independent go-getters, self-motivated entrepreneurs, all this kind of stuff. That's all bad. Let me read you this concluding section here because it was very telling as to what the book and the plans really are. A meaningful existence. Well, let me start up with this quote. The prospects for the future. This is our conclusion. Material abundance is associated with the industrial era. It has not been acquired without tremendous costs, however. Accompanying industrialism is the erosion of Western man's sense of the cosmological. Contemporary man no longer sees himself as nature naturally. He was a member of a whole in ancient and medieval societies, and thus he was part of a meaningful plan of existence within the totality of a cosmic order. Post-industrial revolution, post-enlightenment, post-scientific revolution, post-Darwin, man has lost meaning.
Maps of meaning, you know. What's your meaning?
Again, very Petersonian. Meaningful existence is largely derived from the existence of and the congruence between the human being's relationship to himself, society, and the universe. Although it is profitable, the Industrial Revolution thus was very costly, as it left man alienated. And in varying degrees, he is alienated from his sources of meaning. The mysteries of the cosmos have seemingly been displaced by cold rationality and science. A sense of community has been displaced by the incomprehensible urban existence. Social pressures have created an other-directed mentality, such that many are alienated even from themselves. This would suggest the next phase of social evolution is the reintegration of man, and the phase of our social evolution, to his sources of meaning. Well, where are we going to find meaning? Guess what? They're going to give you your new meaning. Your new meaning will be as a piece of the whole, as a as a member of Mother Gaia, Mother Earth. Social pressures have created this other-directed mentality. We are all alienated. We must be reintegrated into what? The continued extension of the industrial state is poorly suited to give man meaning. We are challenged now to look at the technological material frontier of a new American frontier, which is essentially that of man searching for himself. So, the American creed must die because it basically produced Patrick Bateman, the nihilistic psycho Wall Street bro. And now it's time to find a new image, which will be Aubrey Marcus. I guess the new bro that we're supposed to look to is like Aubrey Marcus, bro. Because man is now finding his meaning as some sort of DMT bro, shaman, psychonaut. I mean, it's unclear where exactly they're going to go, but that's kind of the vibe that we get from this guy, right? Sacred relationships, man. Like sacred relationships, bro. Now, if you remember, Aubrey Marcus, I think, didn't he do like an apology to women where they bowed down before the women to promote whatever his ethos is? I mean, that's the first guy that pops in my mind as to who the kind of guy they're talking about here is. They don't say, they just kind of give it as like the mystic shaman, you know, festival bro kind of dude. Another example, I was watching this documentary for the next Sam Hyde episode. I think it was this one.
Before we begin, it's important that I emphasize a few disclaimers. By no means am I calling the individuals mentioned in this video scammers. Consider what you are about.
No, this wasn't it. Here it is. It's this one. I watched this documentary about gurus in California. It's pretty funny. It's kind of an annoying kind of AI video, but it actually was. I mean, the audio is like an AI, but somebody actually made it. It's a legit documentary, and it reminded me of exactly what we're talking about here. The kind of man and the people that are envisioned by changing images of man are these people, and you know, festival types, this kind of people, right? Psychonaut bros.
Sort of pilgrimage to learn about the latest New Age trends and to meet others who share the same values.
This guy, I'm gonna walk around in my underwear guy. This is the changing images of man, right? And you don't have to be into I mean, maybe Destiny is another version of the changing images of man. All right, so the next chapter, I'll give you guys this documentary by the way, if you want like a interesting insight into what the California New Agers have been up to. And let me tell you, they are not doing well. Six of Spades, $10. Boomer tech issues, day number 2. Well, next time you see me, I'll have a brand new fancy mic, and maybe we'll fix it. Edo Tolkien, what's up, man? Became a member. Daniel Schroeder, $20. This is for all your 4th hour content with Lord Voldemort over the years. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that.
We would call a mindfulness festival or a conscious.
It's a mindfulness festival. Mindful, don't be mindless, be mindful.
If you will, because not only is there music.
Dude, it's so freaking spiritual or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like I'm so spiritual that I'm not even physical right now. Like I just like walk through like walls and pylons and shit because they're like, I'm not even physical right now. I'm just straight up spiritual or whatever. And by the way, changing images of man. And by the way, zone theory, right?
But there's also workshops, there's opportunities to come and learn about specific modes and modalities of wellness.
And get into a position.
I like all the New Age bros acting like charismatics. Like the New Age bros rolling around and acting like dogs and babies is no different than like the charismatic churches.
That is very awkward and you do not normally engage in. And start moving like that.
Whee! Dude's trying to fly. Dude's like, I could fly right now. I'm so high on Molly. I could fly if I tried right now.
Philosophy of the class: to return to your natural state.
And maintain awareness and see how you
A dude wearing a skirt. There's a dude wearing a kilt.
can move through everything.
Look at these idiots. What a bunch of goofballs.
Feel that. Feel that.
A man
This is all the guys in my chat right now. This is what they're doing right now.
of the New Age must step into his animal nature.
I have to take responsibility. We're holding the
Bro, you're so gonna weep right now. If you just totally like weep right now, it'd be like the most masculine thing, bro.
vision meditation of you stepping deeper into your truth so you can live.
Find your truth, bro. Look within, find your truth, and then just stay there or whatever. Don't come back.
Displayed dominance in these destructive behaviors that...
See, it's like men have been trained to display dominance in these masculine toxic behavior.
This workshop for the first time.
Being with other men.
This is gay camp, dude. This is gay camp right here. Welcome to gay camp.
In an environment where there's not alpha dynamics and men that are trying to display dominance in these destructive behaviors that...
It's just there's no alpha dynamics. Bro, keep me away from there. I would be excommunicated. I'll be the first dude excommunicated. Find your inner kitten, baby. Exactly. So to get back to changing images of man, the next chapter is about science. And science is very important because science is the ethos of the modern era. We live in the scientific paradigm. And they actually kind of admit that scientism is kind of a religion. And it's not going to fulfill man. So they kind of anticipate that science and scientism and Darwinism, and it's nihilistic. So again, we're going to have a new paradigm. And in fact, they actually talk about paradigms. They talk about Kurt Gödel and Thomas Kuhn, Structures of Scientific Revolution. So this is a pretty high level philosophical and academic intellectual text. I didn't expect all that to come up. They don't explicitly mention presuppositionalism, but they're kind of talking about that when they talk about Tarski. They talk about Michael Polanyi, and they talk about how scientism is not understanding that science itself is based on ideas that cannot be justified by science. They actually make this argument. I couldn't believe this on pages 69 to 71. And they actually point out stuff I've argued, that Gödel and even people like Tarski have shown that system studies and system science has its limitations. You can't prove a system or an entire paradigm from within the paradigm or from within the system. So since science and scientism is limited, we're going to need a new paradigm. The new paradigm can't be the deterministic, mechanistic scientism of Darwinism and a causal chain, deistic clockmaker universe, right? The new physics of quantum physics, which was very popular at this time, and there was all these boomer books that were coming out at this time, like the Dancing Wooly Masters, right? This kind of stuff. Boomers were eating this stuff up in 1979, 1980, right? At the exact same time as who's the quantum physics? Ervin Laszlo is beginning to push quantum physics. Quantum everywhere. It's like a big psyop to push all this stuff, right? Dude, modern physics is like ancient mystics, bro. It's like ancient Taoism. It's the same, dude. Whoa. This was being pushed as the new ethos of the new science of quantum science to give people a new paradigm, a new worldview. Determinism is old Darwinian. It's Newtonian. The new physics that replaces Newtonianism is quantum, bro. So we're going to be quantum bros. And we're no longer going to be reductionists and stuck in some reductionist framework. So this is the first 70. Actually, by the way, the book is only 200 pages. I thought this was a longer text until I started getting into it. It's only 200 pages. So we are almost halfway. And next we're going to move into, we talked about economic man, we talked about religious Western man, and we talked about science man, Western scientism man. And next we're going to move into transformed man in part 2. So, hope you enjoyed the first half of Changing Images of Man, or at least the first third. We're about 75 pages in at this point. It's only a 200-page book. So part 2 will be for members, and we will go much deeper into the actual processes of how they plan to transform us. Thank you guys again for those super chats. I want to remind you we have a show sponsor, which is chalk.com. That is CHOQ.com. If you're interested, also, you can go into the archives and watch the talk that we did on Arthur Kessler's Ghost in the Machine, Aquarian Conspiracy by Marilyn Ferguson, H.G. Wells' book, well, both of his books that we've covered, Open Conspiracy, New World Order. They both cover this topic. And Friedrich Capra's Turning Point, all of which are global elite texts pointing to this. Chalk.com is the best of supplementation on the internet. Use the promo code JAY40 to get 40% off, or J44Life, that's JAY44LIFE, to get 44% off. And don't let them turn you into a Skittles New Age bro. Just like there's no male dominance here. It's just like festivals of communal, intentional living, bro. And we're speaking our truth to power. Use that promo code JAY44Life, J44Life, to get 44% off all of those great products over at Chalk, including the Performance Stack with the Chad mode, with the Action 2.0, and the proven testosterone boosting Tomcat 100. In other words, this will help you not become one of those festival bros. You won't be at gay camp when you're taking Chad mode, my friend. Now, we did get a huge super chat. Thank you so much to our buddy over here. Where was it at? He's over here paying for the mic, basically. Caleb says for $10, keep up the good work. Thank you, Caleb. Vincent says, what do you think about King Charles's soft spot for orthodoxy? I don't make much of it. He's a perennialist, so he likes all the religions. What about the Church of England in decline? Yeah, exactly. It's done for. Anon says for $5. For Spooktober, I recommend criminologist Gabe Morales. You should contact him. He talks about cults and SRA. He's familiar with the Manson stuff as well. And here is his channel. Okay, I'll check it out. Dan Schroeder, $20. Oh, he's the guy that said great content on Lord Voldemort. Bobby D, $10. Here's towards the new microphone. Thank you. Yes, this will all go towards a brand new mic so that we won't have these issues. Gary, $150. Gary wins super chats for the day. Woo! $150 from Gary. Thank you so much, Gary. He says, very grateful for your work. Well, Gary, I'm very grateful for you, and you are the biggest contributor to the new microphone. No one, $5. There's a funny video of a Baptist pastor saying that the Book of Mormon is a Baptist book. It is hilarious. Okay, is he joking? I mean, I wanna be charitable and nuanced and hope that my brother is joking, because that sounds so ridiculous. Edo token, $5. Here's $5 for the new Bugatti mic. Gotta get a new Bugatti microphone. Dude's gotta get a Bugatti microphone. We'll see. I'll make sure I didn't miss one. Zet, $5. Here's donating for cool sounds. Hope you have a nice microphone day, aside from audios. Yeah, well, it's going to go directly towards getting a new mic. Toothless Granny, $10. Speaking of megaliths, check out the Barabbas Caves India documentary. Fascinating. All these megaliths are built with stones and the copper tools by guys wearing loincloths. Doesn't make sense. Give me a break. These findings blow away mainstream archaeology out of the water. The Barabbas Caves in India. Well, that's a new one I don't know about. Let's see. Barabbas Caves. We need to do a megalith stream. No, he's not joking. It's on YouTube. Well, what do I type in? Tell me what to type in and I'll pull it up. The impossible precision of the Barabbas Caves.
This is it.
Okay. Well, I'll have to watch this. This looks like a fun documentary. We'll do us a megaliths and ancient civilizations stream very soon. We did one of these, by the way, actually we did one on my channel not too long ago, and then we did a similar stream about the Giza pyramids with our buddy Jake Rattlesnake. If you guys missed that, you can find me and Jake Rattlesnake doing a megalith stream. And what do I need to type in? Baptist. Where does a Baptist preacher talk about the Book of Mormon being Baptist? That's so stupid. I mean, we're just at the point where people are just straight up. They're not becoming retorted. They're diving headlong into a giant vat of retarded juice and like growing gills to breathe the retarded juice. That's where we're at. But remember, head over to chalk.com, guys. I will look up the Baptist Mormon man very soon. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for donating. If you'd like to, remember, you can super chat at any time, and I'll read it on the next stream. So if you're watching this later today or tonight and you'd like to support, send a super chat, donate to the new microphone fund, and we'll get it popping off. We'll get it not popping off as we get it popping off.